Today I'm visiting the Acorn, a school for young children. The Acorn is a school that believes in play and creativity. The school is in an old house out in Alamo Heights, which the house style of the school gives it a comfortable home environment, especially it's really good for kids that have never been into a school environment before because it does have such a home-like environment. And now here's the playground. The playground is a natural environment, has lots of different types of sand and grass and dirt for different textures in the environment. They have a little playhouse that's made out of wood. They have things like tires, musical instruments for the children to play with outside, area for them to run, and they have bikes, and there's lots of room for climbing. And the Acorn is one of the only schools, I think, left that has a fire pole on their playground, which is very good for the children's development and large motor skills. And there's the infamous hill where they roll tires down and climb up. And there is the storage. It's a great outdoor environment for young children. When you walk into the school, there's security doors. You have to have a code to get in, and they also have cameras at the other doors. You walk in and there's the kindergarten room, and the flow of the kindergarten goes into the other 2-day, 3-day classrooms, and it's really nice to have the flow of the rooms going from one to another. It makes it really easy for the children to get from one room to another. There is a fine motor room. They have a dramatic playroom where they build with blocks. They have their own separate art room and a wet area. Then they also have a large motor room where they have group and large motor activities for the children. And also music and Spanish are held in this room. And then upstairs is where the 5-day class is, and the arrangement of the room is pretty much 5-day class. And she's a lead teacher, and we're going to be talking about assessment today.
Okay.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi. How are you?
Good. So what technique do you use when you're doing assessment?
Almost exclusively do anecdotal records. And the way that we have a system that we have found seems to work best for us. So we had great difficulty making sure that everyone had the information that we needed. Mm-hmm. So what we did was we took the components that are part of the observation forms we fill out on each child for parent conferences, took those components and divided, and the skill levels and concepts, and divided them between the areas that we have up here, like motor room, art, manip, and dramatic play. So we divided it up into social, emotional, language and speech, motor, and then developmental concepts.
Okay.
So motor would be fine motor, large motor, writing, copying, tracing, any of that, as well as bouncing a ball, skipping, jumping, all of those kinds of things. And in each clipboard is in each room, and on the back it gives you just a quick synopsis of things to look for in that room.
Oh, I like that. That's a good idea.
And there's one on the back of each clipboard. So there are specific skills to look for in that particular room. And then in addition to that, we record responses and things that they do when we're working in small groups.
Okay.
So this is our little system though. There's a name, well you can't really tell, but there we've got these printed off, and they have the child's name, so we write the date and then the behavior or the skill or the concept or whatever it is that we see. So it's totally free. There's no checklist to check off. So, and then at the end of each week, because once again, we found it easier if we just designated one day where we took these off and put them in our notebook. Can I see
Okay.
that?
And there is, what is your name again?
Pat.
Pat, and she is writing in one of the notebooks that they take
And it's
anecdotal
broken up
records.
into motor, social, emotional, concepts, and language. And whenever we see a behavior in that particular area, whether they need help in it or they're doing real well in it, we write the date and we put down what we've seen.
And what do you think the most important part of the anecdotal record is for you when you're doing your observations? What do you look for? What's most important to you?
Oh, all of it. I don't think there's one area that's more important than the other for, 3 and 4 year olds. They need to have all of these areas.
All right.
We look for it all. Make notes on all of it.
All right.
And the notebook is divided up into months. There's a month for each child, so that helps to keep it clear when they perhaps mastered a skill or when we started working on something specific or what we noticed. It also documents growth. So, for example, in September, if a child had still was in doing parallel play, then through the year you would notice perhaps branching out or changes or not. So, and that would be documented. Then there's a tab for each kid.
And do you feel the anecdotal records is the best way for assessment of young children?
It's one of the best. I think, yes, but you have to have a target. So not necessarily a checklist, but an idea of where you're wanting to go or what you realistically would expect them to know. Say, but for example, we have kids that will go into kindergarten at the end of our school year. So we want to make sure that they're going with the necessary skills that they'll be successful.
All right, I'm here at the Acorn School for a school for young children, and I am talking to the 3-day team, and we're going to be talking a little bit about relationships between the teachers and students and some family involvement real quick. Okay, so what would y'all say is the most important part of the team building?
Working as a team.
And how would you do that? What's the key component, you think?
Communication.
Communication.
Absolutely.
And what do y'all do?
Text, email, pre-session,
Post-session.
Post sessions?
We
pre-session.
talk about our day in the beginning of the day. We talk about the day during the end of the day. I'm sorry. We text each other at nighttime if we need something. So the communication goes beyond the classroom.
Okay, so you're involved with each other outside of the classroom also?
Yes.
And do most of y'all have the same philosophies and expectations?
Same ideas.
Same ideas?
We read each other's mind.
We finish each other's sentences. That's honest truth.
How long have you all worked together?
10 years.
10 years
5 years,
5 years?
3 years.
3 years?
and 4 years.
4 years. So you feel that you pretty much have a tight bond. It's almost like
We
more
love
family.
our team. Love our
Most
team.
important thing,
Is
have a positive attitude.
yeah, it helps, doesn't that? And now, what would you say is the key component of building a relationship with the children in the classroom?
Which one, 2-day or 3-day?
But which way?
Say with the 3-day class.
But what kind of relationship?
Relationship between teacher and child, you know.
You get to know the child. You
We've
make
had 4 of them last year. We had 4 so that we know the 4 oldest ones really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then getting to know each child's strengths and weaknesses and helping them, letting them feel secure when they're here in the classroom. home visits. We do home visits in the beginning of the year, so we get to know each child before they even come. And if this is their second year, we still go visit their homes if they like.
And does that seem to help when you are trying to get families involved when you do a home visit?
Our
Yes.
3 day families are very involved.
Everybody's very involved?
Our 3 days. 2 days just going in the ropes.
And
We do notice when they're here the second year, they are more involved. You know, they're kind of hesitant in the beginning because they're not really sure what to expect, you know, in the classroom. So throughout the year, we do see there are more and more
and what do you
involvement.
do throughout the year to help with that involvement?
We do events. And
Like-
we do events. We do phone call. We do conferences
Mm-hmm.
with the parents.
We have the Fall Family Festival that this year is at Kitty Park again, which is for the entire family, not just the student who's here. So usually the whole families go and the teachers go, we even bring our families. It's
And
a
the be-
great
and then-
team building place.
The end of September, we have a get to know you picnic right after class where all the kids and the children go.
And
And the parents are involved.
does that ease the tension that some of the families are having that are new
In 2 day, yes.
in
I do
2 day
think
that
so.
feel that they, you know, it's hard to find a place
A
sometimes, you
lot
feel?
of our 2 day parents, this is their first school experience with their children.
It was fun to watch them bonding at the Ladybug picnic, which was just last week. So you could see people making connections, maybe younger siblings
Yeah,
who
you
were, they could have play dates. I saw that too. I know you did. They could schedule play dates. They did, but they discovered that some of them live really close to each other. So I think they're trying to make connections outside of just our own playground.
And
Oh,
they're
that's good.
also starting to carpool.
Oh,
You know,
good.
in the beginning, they don't know about carpooling, and they start carpooling, they start having play dates, and they go to each other's house.
And so once they start getting involved with the families, then it seems to flow over into the schools maybe? It starts a little bit more of the
Yes.
family involvement?
Yes,
All right.
they're always invited in the classroom.
And what about, how do you help build the relationships with the children in the classroom? If there's one child having a difficulty reaching out to other children, what would you do to help that child build connections with other children?
We would play games. Go, Shelley.
Oh, Shelley.
I think having 4 teachers is very helpful because you
Or
can
5.
have a lot of one-on-one time with the children. Everyone can keep a good eye out for each of the children, especially those who might need special attention in one way or the other.
And then we play along
My
with
team
them.
would be good.
Like we'll sit down in the sand, like outside. An example, we'll sit down on the ground in the sand and play with them. We'll build with them, and the children are having a hard time to play with other children. They'll come and you'll start seeing conversation happening.
All right. So now I'm talking, sorry, with Miss Katie. All right. And we're going to be talking about snack time and what they do for health, around health practices at the Acorn.
Well, today the children are making their own snack. We've been learning about fire engines and fire safety. And so we're going to be using graham crackers for the body of the fire truck. We're using strawberry cream cheese, and we are using cinnamon apple cookies. But everything we do, we look at the sugar content to make sure it has a low sugar content. We have allergies, so I'm checking it to make sure that there's no nuts in it, dairy or egg, which there are not. There are less than 7 grams of sugar in this. We're also using craisins and raisins as part of it. So everything we check the ingredient list, we check the amount of sugar, and we try to make snacks the children are capable of handling themselves, but of course it all stays within a nutritional guide.
Awesome. And I see you have a little sign up behind you about allergies.
This is our, reminds us that the entire school is no nuts of any kind, but in our individual classroom, we have, for our children, is we have dairy, egg, wheat, corn, and peanut allergies.
And so you post?
We post that, so we always remember who has the allergies. When we divide the children into small group for snack, we label who has those particular children, so if there is something like the cream cheese today, the child with dairy will be given a substitute. I've already spoken with his mother. What can I use to substitute this? For the graham cracker, we're using a gluten-free graham cracker for him, again, in order to accommodate his allergies. So we will accommodate children when we know that there's a particular allergy that they can't handle.
That is good. So you have a lot of family communication.
A lot of
then.
family support.
Awesome.
They're very supportive with us as far as either contributing a snack that works for their child, and or giving us alternatives that we can go in the store and buy, like soy butter or sunflower butter, things like that are truly no nuts that we can use.
And now, what about your sanitizing procedure? What do you do? How do you?
We bleach. The tables are sprayed with a soapy water, clean water, and then air dry bleach after they've eaten on them, or after they've played. At the end of the day, all cooking utensils or anything that we use goes in soapy water, rinse water, and then a bleach water again to air dry overnight for the morning class to use.
Today I am sitting here with Mr. Rich Lang, and he is the
director
of the Acorn School, a school for young children. And so how long has the Acorn been open?
This is the 34th year of the Acorn. My wife and I started it 34 years ago when we were a lot younger.
And what is the philosophy of the school?
Well, we follow all the principles of child development. Part of that is that you bring learning alive through hands-on exploration and discovery. You make learning fun and interesting, because when you do, then the children can't wait to come to school. They can't wait to learn. They've got that good attitude that goes on to their next school. We go 3 years old through kindergarten, so when they go to either a different kindergarten or go on to first grade, they love to learn. They've got that fire inside of them. And part of what we want to do is create young thinkers. So not regurgitators of facts. We want them to be thinkers, to figure out how they can solve problems, how they can think outside the box. We really believe a lot in creativity, here from the art room on to every other area of the school.
And what's some of the strategies that you use to implement that type of learning environment?
Well, again, hands-on, that's really important. One of the main principles in child development is that children learn concretely. So Piaget and Erikson, the founding fathers of child development, they established all of these different time frames and stages that every child goes through in order to get where they're going next. And so the time zone between 2 and 6 is the concrete stage. So that's why you don't ever use dittos or worksheets or workbooks with children. You want hands-on. Whatever you think you can teach them through a workbook, you can teach 50 times better through concrete manipulation of real materials.
How do you prepare the children for readiness or school readiness or getting prepared for the next step that they're taking in their education?
Well, readiness is one of the main principles of child development. Each child's on their own internal timetable, and they're going to be ready to do the next appropriate thing at a time that's just right for them and no other child. So there is no right time to learn how to read. There's no right time to be potty trained. Those are all developmental things, and each child's going to be ready for that at a time that's just right for that child and nobody else. So it's not when the parent's ready. It's not when the teacher's ready. It's when the child's ready from within. So that's a really important concept in child development. You want to play to that child's readiness, and that's where giving them a developmentally appropriate curriculum that they are ready for is so important to match them up. And so it doesn't always go with chronological age. So you can't say that all 6-year-olds are ready to learn to read, or sometimes people in kindergarten want you to learn to read. They tell you that at their kindergarten everybody's going to learn to read. Well, that's an ignorant statement. All children aren't ready to learn to read in kindergarten. In fact, still in the United States, an awful lot of children learn to read in first grade. You want the child to learn to read. You want to give them all the basics. You want to get all the precursors to reading, which is all part of a good child development program. And then when they're ready to learn to read, they'll just take off with it. And they can literally learn in a week. They can learn overnight. Suddenly they get interested, they break the code, and they just take off. But if you force them at it before they're ready, if you try and make them ready because of your teacher timetable, then what happens that for the child that's not ready yet, well, he's not going to succeed. And so when the books come out and they try, then he's going to get a bad feeling about himself and about books, and he's going to start thinking, oh no, here come the books, I can't do this, I'm no good at this, King's X, let me out of here, I can't read, do I have to? And so you want them to love to learn to read, you want them to love books, and so if you read to them constantly, if you expose them to all the things that are direct precursors, and there's so many things. Just doing a puzzle is a direct precursor to learning how to read. The organization in the mind that goes into to doing a puzzle successfully has to be in place before they're ready to learn to read. Sequencing, patterning, all those kinds of skills have to be real solid before they're ready to learn to read. And then when that time comes, whether it's in kindergarten or whether it's in first grade, then they're going to learn to read, and they're going to learn to read with joy. And that's what you want to create, a joyful, lifelong reader. Not somebody that can fight through and dissect it word by word but doesn't have any comprehension about it. But parents have this motivation to be able to brag about their children, and so if their child is an early reader, they've got bragging rights at the cocktail parties, and then everybody, oh, that's just great, and that makes other parents think, well, I got to get my Johnny reading, and so they don't realize that you got to leave it to readiness. You got to wait till they're totally ready, and again, pushing backfires. But you want to keep the carrot out there. You want to keep them moving in that direction, but you have to wait till the time is right, and that's different for every child.